All right, man. So the Spurs traded Dejounte Murray to Atlanta for three firsts, a pick swap, and Gallinari's contract, which will not hinder them long term at all. Wow. So the Spurs really look, man. They saw Dejounte's contract with 2 years left on it, or whatever it is. A max contract would be coming soon, and they were either not comfortable with giving him that money or they felt like he wouldn't want to re-sign. My guess is it's more so the first one, but still, my goodness. I mean, they just traded a 25-year-old all-star who is one of the best defenders on the perimeter, one of the best rebounding guards, one of the best passers in the league. Wow. And now the thought for San Antonio. I mean, a lot of people have been saying tanking, right, and going for Wembenyama, hoping to get the first pick. That is a lot of things that need to go your way versus just having Dejounte Murray trying to build this team up. And I mean, Keldon Johnson had an awesome season last year, and they were technically able to throw a max offer sheet at DeAndre Ayton if they wanted to, but clearly they didn't want to go that route, building up what they had to the point of, I mean, I guess in their minds, they just felt like this team had a ceiling on it with Dejounte as the best player, right? Especially if he was then being played or paid 30 something million or whatever it would be in a couple of years. It's just kind of wild to see. I mean, this is something where max contracts, I mean, they just put so much on your team, right? And so we saw Charlotte just let Kemba walk. That was, of course, a different situation than this one, but I feel like this might just be something that happens occasionally now in the NBA. I mean, hell, we're seeing it right now with Phoenix and DeAndre Ayton. So for what all that's worth, it's just crazy to see it happen and how quickly it happened as well. I feel like a lot of teams in this situation would have just given Dejounte, my bad, a contract in a couple seasons, and they would have been like, we're just going to try to make this work as we can. And San Antonio's like, nope, we're going to take a left turn on this one. Could this be a sign of other things to come? Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I mean, also, what does this say about Popovich over the next few seasons? You know what I mean? Anyway, let's get to Atlanta. So they needed a perimeter defender, and my goodness, did they get a perimeter defender. And actually, one more thing on San Antonio. The amount of picks they got here, that's not nothing. I mean, that is a significant amount of draft stuff for Dejounte. Now, would you rather just have Dejounte? I think a lot of teams would, but I want to point out, like, they certainly did not trade him for just a bunch of scrap, even if Atlanta could be way better over the next few years here. Anyway, I mentioned the perimeter defense, and now we're looking at Dejounte, DeAndre Hunter. They still have Kevin Huerter. They've still got Bogdanovich, who, I mean, they're bigger than Trae Young, of course. You still have your Capella Okongwu center rotation right now, which, Capella, he did not have his best season last year. I think Okongwu is on pace to being one of the best defensive big guys in the NBA, if he's not that already. This is the type of defense you want around Trae Young. Big bodies who can switch. The rim protection is there, of course. Dejounte should now be handling the best opposing guard every single night, I would imagine. And then you can just find somebody to put Trae on, basically. There are other things still, like you're going to have to deal with teams running Trae and off-ball actions. It's not just going to be on-ball stuff, of course. And also, Trae is going to have to be the best possible version of himself defensively. Yes, that's not a very high ceiling on that, but he still has to get there, whatever that is, between hedging on screens and getting back to his guy or whatever it might be. We'll see there. But again, the pieces around him are really starting to make sense defensively. As far as the offense, okay, so they also needed somebody who could take some pressure off of Trae on the ball. Also, John Collins is still on this team. I want to point that out. Who knows if he will be in a little bit. But the thing there is I also think Trae is going to have to embrace doing some off-ball stuff. I mean, look, if he really embraced moving off-ball and getting down screens and pin downs, which are not technically the same thing, and like screening for other guys off ball and trying to do his best Steph Curry impression, then that could be great for their offense. It's not like he has to do a complete 180 where, I mean, right now he runs a million pick and rolls a game, but it would be nice to add a little bit more variety to the offense, right? But the thing with that was before Dejounte, like, was anybody on this team a good enough creator and all that to where you'd really be comfortable with that? Maybe not. Now with Dejounte, I mean, look, you have two of the best passing guards in the league, right? And so you think about Dejounte running just a simple action with, let's just say, Clint Capella, right? Well, he's developed his mid-range jump shot. He's like mid-40s in percentage. He still takes a lot, and you would prefer if a few of them were an extra shot at the rim or whatever, or drawing contact, but he's got a thin frame and he likes to go to that mid-range. But even so, he's good enough to make teams pay when they drop on him on those screens, right? It's also the fact of you might be in drop coverage, but if you have the best version of Clint Capella, when he's diving to the basket, it could be a lob anyway. You know what I mean? So the Dejounte Capella pairing, I don't think it's going to be as lethal as the Trae Young Capella pairing, but it could still be pretty damn good. Obviously, Dejounte could then make the next pass, whether that is you sinking in from the corner on DeAndre Hunter or Kevin Huerter or Bogdanovich, possibly John Collins if he's on the team. Obviously, you're not going to help off of Trae Young that much, but if he's ever got the opportunity to get open shots off of Dejounte Murray pick and rolls, then that is a level of offense that Atlanta has kind of dreamed of having, at least for this previous season, right? Granted, their offense was still statistically really good last season, but the variety and all that. However, the other side of this is, what is Dejounte doing when Trae Young is running those screens? Because again, there might be some progress with his off-ball stuff, but it's not going to be completely different. This is still Trae Young. I'm guessing he's still going to be at the top of the league in pick and rolls per game. So, I mean, look, Dejounte's catch and shoot numbers are not like amazing, but they're not bad either. I mean, 35% on about 2.5 threes a game this previous season. You'll take it. That's something to build on, right? I do think Dejounte is good enough to attack off of Trae Young drives. If you're going to help off of Dejounte a little bit, he can then beat the closeout, make the next play, of course. I think there's a decent chance here that Dejounte's point total might go down, but his efficiency will go up through having some more open looks created for him off of Trae and all that. I also think you could try staggering these two to where the offense never really has long droughts and all that, so yeah, this is a massive swing. I mean, I was just talking about the picks going to San Antonio. This is a lot of picks being moved by the Hawks. I mean, this is the type of move that you typically only get once throughout your star player being under contract, right? We saw the Bucks hit a home run with the Drew trade. We saw Dallas eventually be like, yeah, the Porzingis move didn't work out. The Hawks are now officially under that microscope for whatever that means. But yeah, this is a big trade, man.